James, could you tell us about your health journey and how did you discover carnivore?
Absolutely. Carnivore, I was being intuitive really when I got into it. Um, I started in college now almost 15 years ago, living alone, cheap, broke. So the cheap food was meat and eggs, stew meat specifically, which is lean, very cheap cut. Eggs, obviously, very affordable, felt very good. So that's intuitive eating. By default, I didn't say I'm going to eat rice. I'm going to eat pasta or cake. I just knew like, hey, if I want to be optimal, get nutrients, I'll eat this way. But like so many people, I bought into the narrative of normalization of what eating food is. So even though I felt great for that year, I moved back into, okay, I got more financing and money and I can, I got, maybe two jobs, and I can eat whatever I want. I can go out to eat and I can get the dessert and I can have the things that aren't helping me. And so I went through this wild roller coaster of a journey, like so many of us, when we actually try to seek health. And it obviously landed to now, which is carnivore. I've been carnivore in this version for just over 2 years. Haven't felt better. Best mental state in my life, best physical state in my life, and just a whole new purpose and being exists now, because really it's what we put in our guts that determine what we do with our physical and how our bodies respond with the physical and how our bodies respond with the mental. So I'd love to share so many, details as necessary in this conversation, but that's the start.
So you made a really interesting point there. You said, okay, I'm on limited finances. I'm just going to go meat and eggs, the most like nutrient rich foods available. And I keep hearing that people say, oh, carnivore's too expensive. I can't do
it. I've laughed because carnivore is very affordable. If you're not going to the stores and you're not buying everything in the middle of the aisles or in the middle aisles, you're not getting robbed in plain daylight. You go in and buy all these foods that bring nothing to the body, literally zero except the dopamine hit. That's all you're getting. And you're getting the cereals and even hybridized fruits and vegetables. Like modern fruits are modern candy. So people are paying a lot of money for a lot of nothing. So you bounce out of that and really reflect on carnivore foods or animal-based foods. Eggs are affordable. Bacon is affordable. Red fatty meat is affordable as well. And you don't have to buy the ribeye. You can get fatty chuck roast at a great price. You can get fatty, at least here in the U.S., we call it ground beef, fatty, as I said, bacon. And then you feel optimal that way. You feel full. You can get butter. A stick of butter is more nutrient dense than a candy bar. And guess what? It's cheaper. So there's no excuse for people to say carnivore is expensive or carnivore is for people who have money. Absolutely not.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, honestly, I think it's the cheapest and the easiest diet I've ever done. I've done all the diets and I felt carnivore is the only one I could stick to, both, financially and because it feels so good as well. I don't want to change.
I agree with that 100%. Yeah. I mean, you feel better. So people often say, how do you eat the same thing every day? Well, I feel great. So I don't want to get out of that. I don't eat for entertainment. A lot of carnivores, and I'm assuming with you as well, clearly food has become normalized as entertainment. And it's normalized for us to get unhealthy because of the foods. And in so many ways, we're blind to it that modern disease isn't really associated with the metabolic status of a human, but it really is in a lot of ways. People want to claim genetics as the reason why they might have metabolic syndrome, including obesity, including diabetes, high blood pressure. No, it's the family habits. Genetics have really zero to do. Us as humans, we're very consistent genetically across the board. Look, I'm not saying that the study of DNA isn't advanced, great, but you have to start really ask the simple questions and think critically and ask, am I actually living a proper lifestyle? Have I gone to a fast food restaurant 3 times this week? Have I ate something out of a bag with little nutrients about 5 times this week, or maybe 5 times today? Did I eat birthday cake at my work function event and at a night party, like all these things. These are simple questions. Critical thinking isn't having to dive into, the quote, the science. Critical thinking is just asking simple questions. And lifestyle, really, as you mentioned, humans have overcomplicated what the proper lifestyle really is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see this all the time in the fitness space. So at the moment, I'm starting to get my certificate 4 as a personal trainer. And I hear all the time people like, oh, what's the right workout plan? What cardio should I do? How many days should I spend in the gym? It's like, if you get your nutrition right first, like even just focusing on whole foods, cutting out sugar, cutting out seed oils and carbohydrates, you're almost there. You're almost, on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're not calculators as humans, but so many people, so many humans are trained to think that we're just these machines that need numbers. We're going to count calories, and I'm going to count my number of workouts, and I'm going to count the reps. And like to your point, like, just get active, go and do it. That's the most important thing. Go move dynamically like a human should. Go eat proper like a human should. One thing you talked about is you're advancing through your journey in the health and fitness space, which is these are the simple things. Look, people want a plan, sure, you can have it, but at the same time, you got to own your own health. If someone has to tell you exactly how to do every step of your life, then you don't own your own health, and you really are submitting your life to others, and therefore you won't be healing or healthy at any point, moving forward. It's not only until you flip that switch where you can take control. So it's not about what my doctor said or my doctor prescribed or a lot of those are excuses. My doctor says that it's genetics and nothing can be done about this. Well, that's an excuse for not succeeding for the rest of one's life. I don't accept that as feasible for humans. So one of the things you also mentioned a moment ago, which is, eat whole foods. Well, we need to understand what whole foods really are. Whole foods isn't marketed to us. If it's marketed as whole foods, it's not a whole food. Let's just be honest with that. If it's from an animal, that's whole food. Let's be real. So get out of the confusion, unplug from the matrix for those who aren't unplugged, and really start asking the proper questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think whole foods isn't really promoted as a way of eating as much. People think, oh, it's got to be this particular diet, it's got to be plant-based, or it's got to be animal-based, or it's got to be this or that and the other. It's like, it's great we've got things like social media and we've got YouTube as a resource, but I think people are confused. There's almost like too much information available.
Yeah. Oh, information overload. And also every business wants an arm from a human and a hand and a mouth. So it's a business objective that's causing the confusion, or a great influential area of why there's confusion and food noise. There's food everywhere. Every corner has fast food restaurant, at least here in the USA. One of the jokes I have is a coffee shop popular here that starts with a star and ends with a Bucks, because I don't want to do any promotion, is the second largest fast food chain, at least in the US, if not in the world. And people don't really think of that because they think, oh, it's coffee. No, look, they sell fast food and they have the little microwaves back there. So really, fast food is everywhere. And most people get drinks that aren't really coffee at all. It's not a natural food. It's a processed junk drink, really, if you want to consider it. So again, I keep saying, think critically. It's simple questions. What's in my drink? Is it sugar? Is it added sugar? Is it honey? That's a huge one. Honey is metabolized exactly the same as if you, as a human, ate table sugar. It's going to ultimately get used right away. If most people don't exercise enough, it's going to get stored in the muscles, or as in glycogen, in the form of glycogen, or it's going to store as body fat. So there's so many realms that we all learn in this carnivore space that, a lot of people just feel like is the standard way. Hey, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to consume honey, and it's healthy for me, yet it's still wrecking the gut and the body exactly the same as if you were eating that amount in the form of cake and cookies and candy bars. So asking critical questions is very important. It's really just looking around. We're in a modern day food trap. And if you don't see that, then you stay in it. You can go to every corner. Even you sit down in restaurants, you look at the menu, and there's a lot of just false foods that aren't actually providing any nutrients or any substantial nutrients to the body. So, okay, here's your appetizer. Great. It's fried and it's got a sugar glaze all over it. Among other things, the flour also has sugar mixed in with it. People say it's sugar free, but no, it's not. It's got sugar in it as well. You get the free, quote, free 2 sides with a lot of the main dishes. And most of those sides are also just frankenfoods when we really consider. And then finally, it's, well, what can you have with, excuse me, and finally, what can we have for dessert, right? And then as well as the drink or drinks, could be alcoholic drinks, which are fine, but meaning alcohol itself isn't as detrimental as adding all the sweeteners into the alcohol with it. People don't really consider. And also the shakes. So I can go into the details here, but I want to land on this point is you can have a 5-course meal and the main dish or the main course is still the sides. That's the majority of everything that everyone's eating. So I want to circle down on this because so many guidelines and so many humans in our world still assume that red meat is the cause of disease. Red meat is the cause of cancer. And you look at what I just described and say, if you go to the fast food restaurant, you go to your sit-down restaurant, how much food did you eat that was actually red meat? Not really didn't at all. And for the most of you, you probably went to fish because you're already scared of red meat. And then I want you to take that same thought and look at all the people that you know who are affected by heart disease and ask yourself or ask these people that you actually know, did they eat too much red fatty meat? And I will, hands down commit to saying that the majority of these people who are going through chronic ailments, modern day chronic ailments, aren't carnivore. And to simplify the word carnivore, they aren't based on eating animal foods. You say carnivore and people think it's extreme, but really it's very simple. Back to basics.
Definitely. Like it's only extreme when you compare it to the standard Western diet, which is mostly carbohydrates and sugar. Like it's very, very low in protein. So I think part of the issue is people are constantly hungry, but we're eating food that's not really food. So our body's just screaming out for nutrition. That's why we're always hungry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not only hunger. This extends, into the mental health issues that are ongoing. The brain is really starved of nutrients. That's really what it is. And so it's the simple things. It's not about having, say, some extreme, I'll call them extreme versions of mental health issues, which are, call it schizophrenia, call it dementia. Obviously these are some things that typically happen later in life or on rare occasions for most humans. But what a lot of humans deal with are anxiety. And a lot of humans deal with depression. And a lot of humans, even as kids, deal with ADHD. So these are all mental health issues that have just kind of been flicked away like a flea. Like, oh, it's okay. Here's a pill for that. That's not going to help at all. The pill, we all know this, but the mental health issue isn't a shortage of a pill. It's not a deficiency of whatever is in the pill, which we don't even know what's in the pill, but people take it blindly. So I'll leave that nugget there. And the side effects of the pill are usually worse than the problems that you're taking it for. I'll leave that second nugget there. So y'all keep that. But I mean, these things too. Just for those who aren't aware, it's like we really need to just reconsider a lot of things. So as you said, hunger in the gut is translated into mental health issues. And I want to just dive a little bit further into another area where we try to normalize mental health and other things like and cancer. But there are months dedicated to assisting those in need. in these areas. There's a mental health awareness month, at least here in the US. And I think that's absolutely, baffling. I understand, not baffling. It should be more eye-opening instead of a way to feel bad for humans, in a sense. Like we have got into a sense where the month is about, we have nothing we can do. We're out of control. We just need to acknowledge that the mental health is here, and it's backwards. Really, we should be asking ourselves, why are we having a mental health awareness month? Not just a day. Here in the US, Martin Luther King gets a day. Okay, that's one day. Presidents from the US get a day, but we have an entire month for mental health. Okay, so let's just be real here. This is an issue. And our brains are starving of actual nutrients. And again, simple questions, but find out, ask, and learn that. And I learned that the brain, I've heard different numbers, is made up of 60 to 70% fat. And most of that fat is cholesterol. Okay, great. So why would I want to lower my cholesterol? Absolutely wouldn't. So again, the same people that you asked or who you know who have dealt with health issues heart health issues, ask yourself the same question, because so many people in the world are going to raise their hand. That's how prominent modern disease is in our day and this time. But now I want to ask your listeners and watchers this question. If you know somebody who has a mental health issue, raise your hand. I bet everybody's raising their hand right now.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I will tell you, as far as asking people who if you know them, to have schizophrenia, to have dementia, I would say, did they eat too much red fatty meat? Probably not. Probably eating a low fat diet, and the brain is starved of the fats that it needs to thrive. And I'll speak to myself though, and so many other carnivores, maybe to you as well. I would love to obviously hear if this is true for you, but I have reversed my anxiety and I have reversed my depression. These are things that I used to believe were uncontrollable. It was just happening to me. I was prescribed medications. I took them, I swapped them to different ones, and the doctor never said, you're unhealthy. That's an issue. The doctor said, why are you having these issues? Do you think it could be caused by a number of things? No. Hey, I have anxiety. Hey, I have depression. Hey, I had to step off of an airplane right before the doors closed because I had an anxiety attack. Oh, here's a pill for you. Okay. But then as soon as I walk in the door, just under a year ago, well into my carnivore journey, and the first thing the doctor wants to tell me is, hey, your cholesterol is a little bit high. You need to watch that. Oh, you're going to tell me. So when I'm healthy, when I lost weight, you tell me everything. I look great. You look great since the last time I saw you. All your markers are good, but your cholesterol, you got to watch that. You come back next time and it's still high, we're going to have to put you on a statin. So these are the things where I'm asking the questions, the critical thinking, which are simple questions. Okay, I'm putting the dots together here. When I was sick with mental health issues, you never questioned a thing. And I was overweight, by the way, way overweight, 50 pounds heavier than I am now. All these things. So I just started to be intuitive to the world and realize, look, we are got a lot of things backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you touched on before about ADD and ADHD, I had no idea what that was. When I was a kid, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't like an illness or anything like that. And like I was that kid in school who was like easily distracted, can't focus, can't complete tasks. But now I realize if I just changed what I was eating, I wouldn't have those issues anymore.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think that allows me to bring up the school lunches and even breakfasts. It's so normal for our kids and students in school today to have ADHD, and it's normal. And it was normal. It came out of, it really spiked when I was growing up. Suddenly all the kids were on medications or for ADHD. And I even in college was like, it was the thing to do. It was like, hey, take the pill so you can focus. Take the pill. Oh my gosh. I'm making faces for those who are listening, but you're just like a zombie on speed. It's not a good thing to be a zombie and on speed at the same time. And that's what these pills do. They make us unnatural. And I'm speaking from experience here. And kids are taking these pills every day, and they are growing humans and developing humans. So clearly malnourished, but I wanted to talk about the school lunches that, at least here in the US, and I'm guessing most of the world, don't have a lot of real whole foods. And with milk, whole milk is not allowed in public schools here in the US. I think that is an awful decision. Most of the foods are just carbs and sugars. And so no wonder the result is kids with ADHD. And not only does that kids go to school every day and the majority of their time is spent there, a lot of kids arrive in the morning and get breakfast at these schools and then turn around and go home and think that's the proper way to eat. And then mom and dad aren't home and they're going home and cooking in the microwave for Frankenfood. It's this cycle. So ADHD didn't just happen. If we ask the simple questions, it's not normal, so it can be alleviated. I'll speak to myself as well. Obviously, I'm an adult, but moving into carnivore and eating a proper human diet, because it is proper, I no longer have any sidetrack thoughts. I don't need to take a break or take a deep breath or think I need a pill or need to go talk to a doctor. The consistency of thought is there, and that's one of the major benefits of eating properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned doctors before, and they're trained to just basically put a Band-Aid on the problem. They don't get to the root cause, what's actually causing the issue. And anytime I've asked a doctor about nutrition, they get a little bit uncomfortable. They say, "Oh, just eat less and move more." I mean, that's not helpful. You can't be in a calorie deficit forever, you know?
Yeah. Calorie deficit is not sustainable. Calorie deficit is borderline starvation, which is why it's unsustainable. And then the way that we as humans globally are taught to think about nutrition, we then binge on foods that inflate us and make us regain the weight very quickly. So that's why so many people yo-yo diet. It's very easy. They're starving themselves and then rebounding because they think that eating sugars and carbs and hybridized foods is proper, and it's not. And look at the results. That's really all it is. Look, the science versus the results. They're two different things. If the guidelines and the science and the studies say eat this way, yet you're yo-yoing, and so many people around the world are yo-yoing, then look at the results. Use your own eyes. The first step in science is observation. It's forgotten. People have assumed that science is the studies, quote, or from the doctor. No, you can do your own science, simply put. So that said, I don't agree with, you're right. You can't cut calories, and I don't even believe in calories. I would love to touch on that point a little bit, if I may.
Sure.
Okay. Well, look, there's a lot of people who believe in calories. Number one, calories weren't invented for food, the measurement of food energy at all. And number two, let's just try to get to the nuts and bolts of it before we get into the physiological nature of why calories absolutely are a myth. So number one, you don't ever see calories listed on meat. You don't have to, but just think about that. Ask simple questions. Maybe on bacon, but still, for the most part, eggs, you go to the beef section, calories aren't listed. But middle of the aisles and all the other foods, sure, turn around, look at the back of the box, and you see a calorie amount. Well, here in the US, and I'm assuming as much in other parts of the world, is the listed amount is given at 20% grace. So it can fluctuate up plus or minus 20%, okay? Plus or minus 20%. Now, combine that with the assumption and also the listed written part about these things right here. I'm pointing at a wearable on the output. So I described the input earlier. Now I'm going to the output of energy, which is these also allow a 20 to 30% discrepancy on measuring output. So we have a very high error rate, anywhere between 40 and 50% here. So calories are a myth for those who want to just try to start there. It's tough for people to believe it. But then we can go even further. And we want to talk about physiology. Look, we're hormone machines. We are not calorie counting calculators. Hormone machines meaning the foods that we put in determine how our bodies respond hormonally, which is what determines basically if we're going to burn fat or store fat, ultimately. And obviously create other hormones such as testosterone, estrogen, and among others, cholesterol as well. So let's just do the quick comparison of eating bread every day versus eating steak every day. Now, you and I eat steak every day. We know how this goes for us. But for the person who doesn't believe in calories, then eat those same amount of calories. If you want to call it a 2,000 even a day, quote measured, then do that. So eat just that. You got no supplements. You got no protein supplements. You got no vitamins to supplement with as well. Okay, let's just be real. If these foods are so good for you and so essential and they're the quote first thing burned, then just eat that. Eat the bread, and I'll talk to you in a year. No supplements. That's your food source. So you see, clearly, calories aren't real. Calories are a myth because the body will have a very different response to eating fatty steak every day versus eating bread every day. That's really easy. There's no arguing that. And again, people like to lean in on supplements, vitamins in a pill form. What else can I go into is here? Like, there's so many excuses. Oh yeah, even insulin shots for those with diabetes. Look, if you're type 1, I understand that it's necessary, but especially type 2, taking insulin shots is an excuse to keep eating the foods that are spiking the insulin in the first place. And the body's already responding and screaming by saying, I'm insulin resistant, but here's another shot. So we really ask the simple questions. If you start eating properly, even if you are type 1, and I have type 1 friends who are carnivore, and I'm sure you've talked to some as well, who drastically reduce their need for the amounts of insulin on a daily, consistent daily basis. So ultimately, I'll wrap that up and say calories aren't real.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And this whole like dieting culture and processed food industries, they list the calories, so you know how many calories you've had. But if you're just eating like real, actual nutrient-rich foods like red meat, eggs, like you don't need to track calories because you get that satiety signal. You don't get a satiety signal from ultra-processed food.
No, not at all. You're not gonna get the leptin hormone saying, "Hey, stop eating. We're good." These foods are engineered to keep that hormone at bay, and you keep eating. Look, you can eat as a human the family size bag of chips, and you can then go to the movies and get the extra large family size tub of popcorn and eat all that. Good for you, but it should also raise questions. How can you eat that much food and still be hungry? It makes me laugh because I look back at my own life. Those are the things that I used to do, but they didn't work. So eating nutrient-dense foods, of course, I mean, it could smack you in the face and tell you, hey, stop eating. I have one reference for you, which is I went to an event. It was a meetup, and they had all-you-can-eat ribeyes. I was so excited. So I was like in line. I got 3 ribeyes. I had to get one at a time. So I ate them. So again, so excited though that I went through the line 3 times and ate them up. So surprise, surprise, an hour later, the tomahawk ribeyes come out. And these things look bad. I was like, all right. But again, hormones, when hormones talk, they speak and they scream. And as much as I wanted to eat the tomahawk steaks, I took one bite. My body said, nope, you're not doing it. That's leptin talking right there, another hormone. And the same thing happens. We want to talk about testosterone and estrogen. Oh, I said that. Sorry. I said that a moment ago. I also wanted to talk about that too. Look, when you're in the mood, you're in the mood. It's, you know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is like, there's no arguing, hey, when the time is here, it's time to go. Let's do the dance. And when your hormones actually talk to you, it's the same way with food. Hey, when Grellin's talking to you, hey, let's go. Time to eat. Let's do it. Let's dance that dance. Let's do that dance. And then when the hormone hits, when leptin hits, all right, we're done. It is what it is. So that's how powerful hormones really are. People may not understand that. So I want to bring some clarity here. Like when you feel that, that physical energy with that special somebody, that's a hormone talking to you. And the same thing, when you want brain power, that's a hormone making brain power. Hormones, we are hormone machines. We are not calorie counting calculators.
Definitely. Yeah. It's funny, we've made so much progress as a species, but we're just so out of touch from the basics, like eating real food, getting natural light, getting some exercise, even just going for a walk and get kind of that stress relief of being outdoors. Like we've just lost touch with it.
Yeah, we are way out. And I love just being in this lifestyle and with others like you, because it is normal to be in the sun. I want to talk about the sun briefly, meaning so many believe the sun is unhealthy. So many believe the sun is the cause of skin cancer. And it couldn't be furthest from the truth. Because the sun, again, simple questions here, but ask yourself, if you question what I'm saying, the sun is the foundation of the earth. Nothing would grow if we all stayed in the darkness 24/7. Look, we have half our day or sometimes longer in the sun, and the sun is where we get out and we get energy, not only for animals that we eat, also animals as us, for humans, for all the plant life that animals eat as well. Some humans eat, obviously I don't. So the sun brings us energy. It's the most natural and life bringing form of energy to this earth. And to question that it is harmful to us should really stir the pot in someone's mind. Now, someone's still confused by what I'm saying. Let me try to clarify here. Your skin is made up from what you eat. Your skin doesn't just get to be skin. Your muscles don't just get to be muscle. Your heart doesn't just beat because, look, if we didn't eat, we'd all die. So that's the foundation of our lives, clearly, because either you die or you live. So we got to eat. So what I'm trying to get at here, I'll circle back to the point, is your skin is a product of what you eat. So are you getting sunburn in the sun? Maybe, because you're putting crap in your gut. You're not able to help things synthesize properly to your skin. That's probably what's going on. Putting lathering things on top of skin, sun lotion, or even standard like skin lotion. Look at the back of the bottle. There's 10, 15 ingredients that you probably can't pronounce. It might as well be a different language in a lot of ways. So these are the questions that people really need to answer. The sun built the earth. The sun has sustained the earth for millennia and even longer. And this sun is only one of trillions in the galaxy that, we don't even know everything about yet. So how can this one thing be harmful? It's simple questions. Really, it's everything we're putting in our gut that's controlling the output, and a negative output on skin cancer included is related to our metabolic status, and metabolic status is related to obviously what we're putting in our gut.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like everyone's just been brainwashed and been told the same thing over and over and over again, and people assume, oh, I keep hearing this, so it must be correct. I think people need to think a bit more critically and be a bit more open-minded about, health and longevity.
Yeah, and to your point earlier in your previous comment, you also stated that people are lost not only on the sun, getting sunlight, but also on just proper movement and proper food. You're right. And I want to touch on proper movement. And I just started sharing this recently with other people as well. But getting 10,000 steps in a day with, again, these wearables have changed how we perceive movement. And so now it's been more acceptable to be like, oh, I'm just going to go walk 10,000 steps today. That's not functional human movement, though. Obviously, walking is, but what we really do, I think we really need to look at the foundation of what our kids do and how they move around. they're doing a lot of crawling and a lot of shuffling and just general movement. Call it grappling with friends. These are natural human movements, natural human interaction. So if we're going to translate to the modern day, get 10,000 steps, well, then add some shuffles in there. Just shuffle side to side while you're walking. Just backpedal, walk backwards. Stop and do 10 push-ups every 2 minutes during that walk. These are ways to make the walk more dynamic and not just get 10,000 steps. So I think we're also, as global humankind, lost on what it means to move properly.
Definitely, yeah. It's a really good way to look at it. I think 10,000 steps is probably good as a minimum. If you're like overweight, maybe you're deconditioned, you haven't been lifting any weights. I think just getting, 8 to 10,000 steps is a good foundation. But I think people need to do a lot more. Like, I've got a 3-year-old son, and he just can't sit still. It's like, man, where's your energy come from? It's like crazy.
Yeah, well, kids are great. I want to talk to kids too. I love just leaning into some of the things you bring up. And kids are born into ketosis. All humans are, but obviously they're kids and newborn infants. They're in ketosis and remain in ketosis until basically the mother stops breastfeeding. Well, why do they stop? That's the key question. Again, think critically. Well, because the first foods that most people in modern day society are feeding are processed baby food, marketed as baby food, but really it's just a slop of seed oils and sugar. And then parents wonder why a lot of kids have horrible attitudes throughout the day, especially when I call them the terrible twos. The terrible twos is a lot of sugar. They're eating more, and they're eating more sugar because they're growing and eating more seed oils. These are critical questions that I look at. Look, I'm not saying kids aren't kids. Don't get me wrong. They're going to make a mess of things and, get active. But I've heard too many stories in the carnivore community and I don't know how you feed your kid, but I've heard of other parents, and I will soon be a parent with my husband through adoption, but other anecdotal, real life stories of feeding their kids carnivore foods consistently, removing all the sugars and grains, and their mood has either stabilized if they transitioned or they've remained more consistently calm during their upbringing. So I think that's very interesting. But yeah, we're born in ketosis, for those who didn't know. Ketosis, therefore, isn't stressful on the body. For those who in modern day want to claim that it is, long-term ketosis is stressful. No, it's not. We're born into it. Are you saying we're born into the first year or two, or as long as the mother breastfeeds, that's stressful for a baby? No, absolutely not. It's optimal. It's it's how the body wants to perform. It's just this lost in the trap of food noise and food business, which has been normalized because it's everywhere. Walk into a grocery store, you see all the processed foods. The real foods are all in the back. You don't see them. So we're in this space where it's a trap. I lost my train of thought just barely here as I got excited about some of the things that we deal with. But yeah, ultimately, about ketosis. We're born in ketosis, and it is very safe and effective to remain in ketosis forever. I will speak to myself, being as carnivore in the last 2+ years and being in ketosis, I haven't felt better. And gluconeogenesis, these are what the haters or the naysayers want to say. Gluconeogenesis is stressful for the body, and it's out of emergency producing the body's blood sugar. Okay, well, so therefore you should be eating carbs and sugars. Okay, it makes absolute zero sense. Why should I eat it when my body makes it? It makes no sense. And also, why should I eat carbs and sugars when clearly it's not affecting our human species appropriately? Across the world, people are more unhealthy, fatter, sicker. And if people want to counter that by saying you don't have the data to say that, Oh, yes, I do. I'll say it very clearly and plainly to every person who doesn't agree with what I'm saying. The evidence is the fastest growing industries globally are the medical and the pharmaceutical industries. Hands down, the fastest growing. That is the evidence. That is the only evidence that needs to be said. And also use observation. Number 2 here. Go outside, go to the store, go to the gym of all places. Use your own eyes and use observation. We are getting sicker and unhealthier year over year.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is a very, very small population of people that can tolerate carbohydrates really well, and these people tend to be very, very lean. They find it really hard to put on weight, and they're like constantly either like training hard in the gym, or they're just so active that just their bodies can tolerate it really well. But I think majority of people just need to dial back on the carbs and the sugar. Like it's just like not everyone's a professional bodybuilder or a power lifter. Like you got to kind of have the appropriate amount that suits your body. And for most people, that's, it could be 0, it could be 50 grams. Like you don't need that much.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I think humans like physiology, excuse me with my words here. Human physiology can handle carbohydrates, to your point, exactly. And to those watching and listening who are like, finally, something that I can agree with here. But let's just also provide more observational evidence that most professional athletes, when they choose to hang it up or retire, what happens to their physical status? They typically explode. So to your point, most people aren't. Yes, if you're using the carbs and sugars as energy as fuel right away, then great. Okay, that works. Good. But what happens when these same athletes retire? They gain 50, sometimes even 100 pounds, and they don't look nearly the same. And we're talking about months. They retire, they kind of go off into the distance, and they make an appearance at an event just months later. And you're like, whoa, who's that? So yeah, that's the answer right there for you for the carbs. You want to eat carbs and sugars, that's fine. But you chase your tail. You say, I can do it because I'm working out. You're chasing your tail because every time you eat, you have to force yourself to go work out. And if you overate one day, then the next day, or maybe that next evening, whatever the case might be, you're like, I got to work out an extra 30 minutes because I made sure I had that cake today. So go ahead and chase your tail. That's not a life that I want to live. I want to eat as much red fatty meat and eggs as I want and not worry about gaining weight or not worry that I got to work out in or not today because it's optimal food. It's species appropriate for humans. And I'm not chasing my tail trying to work off or burn food that clearly these people know is going to be stored on the body as fat. If you don't use it, it gets stored. And you know that, not you, Todd. I'm talking about these naysayers for a high fat, meat-based diet. I think most obviously your watchers and listeners, viewers are carnivore, but I would hope that this reaches at least one person who might be considering this lifestyle. And also maybe just to awaken themselves. Look, I'm not claiming I have the answers to everything. I'm speaking as a carnivore, but for years. Now it's been consistent for years. No cheat meals here. And I want to just also reflect, like I'm able to do a U-turn if I don't find health. I've tried multiple diets. Like so many carnivores, I've tried raw vegan diet. And I was stuck in no man's land, still seeking optimal health. On and off for a couple years. I could never remain consistent on a raw vegan diet. I don't know many people or many humans, including my friends, because I've been in that space. Okay. For those who want to try to challenge me, I've been in the space. I have modern friends who also went raw vegan. What I'm trying to land on here is that no one really remains consistently raw vegan. It's very tough because it's not sustainable. The human body is not getting the appropriate nutrients that it needs. Yet, the confusing part for so many is the marketing of vegan diet or the marketing of how plants are healthy. You say the word superfood, people think plants by default. Obviously, you and me would think steak, eggs, but by default, most of the world, you ask anybody in the world, superfood. Oh, celery, tomato, something like that. And ultimately, I'm going to circle back by saying I can make the U-turn if I'm not finding health. If I'm in no man's land of finding optimal health, I'll make the U-turn, and I have. And now for 2+ years, I have found optimal health, and I don't see myself deviating from this because it feels too good. I've tried what's been marketed as appropriate with having carbs and sugars in my diet. I've been 50 pounds heavier. I had, like I said, the mental health issues, the depression, the anxiety, the brain fog, all these things that don't make for an optimal life. So you don't know what a 10 out of 10 feels like until you finally get beyond 5 and you at least get to 6. And you're like, oh, so I can feel better. You don't know until you try. You can't knock eating fatty animal foods until you try.
James, if someone came to you and said, look, I'm interested in trying carnivore, how would you recommend they get started?
Well, I say, number one, unlearn everything that you think you know about food. It takes a mental reset to get on carnivore because of the world that we're born into now. And every person now, maybe unless they're like 120, was born into a world of processed foods. So number one, unlearn everything you think you know about food. And then I'd say, dive in on the fats. Don't be scared of them. You have to eat the fat. And the transition period will be eased with salt. Salt, you can't eat too much salt, or you can't consume too much salt. Again, marketing. Unlearn everything you think you know about food and minerals. Salt is a mineral. I'm not going to get into details of particular types of salt because this community in the carnivore space can, because they are important. But salts are minerals. And if you eat too much salt, trust me, from experience, you will have a date with the, quote, throne. Your body will flush the salt out. So too much sugar, unlearn everything you know about food here for the people thinking. Sugar stores as body fat. You can eat too much sugar. The body won't just rid it itself. It'll store it. So again, use it or keep it. Use it or keep it with sugar. And again, I'll just revert to salt briefly. And salt, use it or lose it. Meaning if you have too much, your body will get rid of it. But you need the salt on carnivore because one, other carbs and even processed foods have salt. And when you remove all these other foods, you have to intentionally include it in the diet. So quick recap here is don't fear the fat on animal foods and make sure to include plenty of salt.
Nice. James, what social media are you on? How can people reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as all the same, which is at James Eats Carnivore. All one word.
Nice. I'll leave a link in the description of the video. People can reach out to you and check out your socials.
That's awesome. I appreciate it, Tom. I appreciate it, Todd.
No worries. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge with us today, James. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love what you're doing. I've listened to some of your other shows. Keep doing that. Keep spreading the word. People need to know that there is a way to optimal health, and you're setting up a platform, and I'm really excited to see how your platform evolves over the coming months and years. But it's very promising.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I've been very fortunate. I've gotten to meet so many great people and helping them share their stories. It's been, very rewarding. And I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely will. It already is.
Thank you. All right. Thanks so much, James.